Well, the world of reality TV rocked by a very real and tragic turn. The estranged husband of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star Taylor Armstrong has been found dead. 47-year-old Russell Armstrong apparently took his own life at a home in Los Angeles. Police say no note was found and that he hanged himself to death. According to Radar Online, he broke down just days before he died, telling a friend that reality TV had destroyed his life. The couple's strained marriage and lavish lifestyle was one of the main storylines in the reality TV show. Take a look at this clip from the last season.
But there's also just times when you just want to, I just want to scream. We're so disconnected that I don't know what to do to bring it back together.
Do you feel like he's your good friend?
I feel like we're great business partners.
Well, Russell's attorney had warned him of the potential harmful consequences long before he signed on to do the show. And that attorney, Ronald Richards, joins us live. Ronald, thank you so much for being here. What specifically did you warn him about?
I warned him that the reality show process would end up being a very destructive force on his marriage.
Why did he want to do it?
Well, his wife wanted to do it, and he was supportive of her, and he felt ultimately there could be some brand marketing value.
He was portrayed unfavorably in the show, I think it's fair to say, in the first season. Their marital problems were a theme that was discussed during season 1, and he didn't come off looking good. How did that affect him?
Well, he wasn't really made up to be pounded by the average person that he didn't know, and as the fear of more prospective statements were in the horizon, labeling him an abuser, it started to really weigh in on him.
Didn't she already allege that? You were his divorce lawyer, and didn't Taylor already allege in their divorce proceeding that he was an abuser?
I never saw that in the petition, because you don't have to put that in the petition, and I hadn't filed my response yet. I don't think she labeled him an abuser in the criminal sense.
I guess it was in an
ever.
interview with People magazine she alleged that.
Yes.
And he came out and said, reportedly, yes, I pushed her, but that was during a time in our lives that wasn't characteristic of who we were. But you know, there had been a question about whether he had abused his earlier wife, and he had been sentenced to time in jail. What I'm trying to get at is, how big a piece was his treatment of his wife Taylor versus his participation in this show, in your view?
With respect to whether it ended the marriage,
so with respect to his mental state at the
aspect?
time he took his life.
I don't think I think the specter of him being labeled as an abuser was really bothering him, because the only type of issues were just, you know, excessive drinking and a little grabbing. But the show sort of kind of was pushing him out the door, because they couldn't have him controlling the content, and this controversy is what gave ratings.
You know, they say that the Armstrongs were actually far less wealthy than the viewers knew. They were made out to have a lot of money as you watched the show. Was that not a reality? Were they acting a part?
The reality in the show was, unfortunately, a fiction in the real world, because they were not anywhere close to what was portrayed them in the show. They were basically making their payments barely and in a deficit mostly every month. Russell was trying his best to keep this persona going, but it just wasn't going to happen.
I know he was being sued. They both were being sued in a business context as well. One of their friends said that Bravo told them that if they weren't going to have drama in the second season, that they would be cut, that couple, and replaced with somebody else, because they had been deemed the disaster couple. Had you heard that?
Well, there's always a pressure, and this is something that he was warned about before this show, you know, got popular, that the network has to create ratings, and that if once a controversy starts to exist, they throw kerosene on it, and this controversy became part of the storyline, and the show in the second season deals a lot with failed attempts of reconciliation. I mean, some people actually enjoy seeing a marriage fall apart.
Mm-hmm. Ronald, when did you last talk to him?
A couple days ago. You know, I email clients a lot, and I get a lot of calls. I can't remember the exact day, but we were in constant communication. He has my personal cell phone.
Did you have any idea that he was in this sort of mental state?
No, because he just had the normal symptoms of a guy that worked very hard to make his wife famous, and right when she became famous, the marriage ended. So he was just disappointed at the timing, and he was disappointed that he was dealing with a lawsuit in a matter that he thought had been settled, but nothing out of the ordinary for a client.
Do you have any thoughts for Bravo and for those who, support these kind of TV shows in closing?
Well, my closing thoughts would be that people need to realize that these shows are imaginary. They're not audits of people's finances, and that people exaggerate things to make TV, and that they need to be nicer to these people who are really trying to entertain them and realize they have feelings too. And when you call them bad names on websites, it does have an effect on them, and they actually internalize it more than a professional actor would, because these are not professional actors, as we all know.
Yeah. Well, Ronald, I know you lost a client and a friend, and our condolences go out to you.
It's very sad.
And to his family.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.